So a very warm welcome to this part 3 of module 4. And today in part 3, we're going to be introducing a very practical tool, which we refer to as the Platform for Human Potential Development. And as you will see, there's a house framework, and there are 23 different dimensions. And these dimensions are qualities that we all have as human beings, deep human qualities. And the more that we can focus in on these qualities, the more that we can deepen into these qualities and practice expressing these qualities in our day-to-day work environment, the more we're going to be able to create the kinds of experiences and the shifts in how we are experiencing work. Yeah, let's just dive in. This is the main dashboard, I guess, of the platform. And you will see here on the left is what Peter and I have been referring to as the Human Potential House. Peter spoke about the 4 states, which is being aware, being inspired, being abundant, being in service, and then the 23 dimensions, which are all the dimensions under each of the states. And like we were saying, these are the deeper human qualities that make us whole, that are sort of the essence of our true self. And when these are expressed, when we are deliberately expressing those, this is what gives us the power to shift the experiences that we're having in the workplace. So I think it's good to just jump in with an example, a specific example. And we've been, I think, speaking quite a lot during the course about challenging relationships, right? I think that is something that everyone can relate to in the work context. Friction, whether it be with teammates or with our bosses, or whether it be in meetings where people have different points of views, different opinions, and it can lead to tension, it can lead to friction, to interpersonal challenges. And the idea is that, by double clicking on some of these dimensions, which you can see being defined as you hover over them, it opens up sort of a door to deeper learning. So let's say compassion, right? Open your heart to see and feel the world from another person's perspective. I think that's something that we can agree would be a helpful quality to express more of in conflict or in tension situations. So when we double click on this, we see here, we come to a resource page. And this gives us a whole bunch of different resources that have been very carefully chosen to open our minds up and to learn about what do we mean by compassion and how does it actually impact. So you can click here and watch a number of different short videos. They're usually within 5 minutes, but they're all on the topic of compassion. There's also inspirational quotes, so you can review a number of these nice quotes that, again, open up your mind to what compassion means. But where maybe the most of the power is in these challenges. So we have this challenge yourself. And here you have 3 levels of challenges. You have sort of an entry level, intermediate, and then the more advanced kind of challenges. So let's have a look here. Now let's have a look at the intermediate, for example. And we see here, something like mental pause. So the invitation would be, next time you find yourself in an intense situation, take a mental pause to think from the other person's perspective, anticipate the consequences and outcomes, and then only respond. So this is really challenging us to show up in a slightly different way than we might do when we're in autopilot. I can give you another example here. Say sorry. So think of a situation in the past when you were not able to let go of your ego and unintentionally hurt somebody. Reflect back on the consequences it must have had on the other person. Take a moment to apologize to that person. So again, when we're in autopilot, sometimes we're behaving in ways that, are not the most, that we're not maybe the most proud of. And as we reflect back, we can realize that. But then taking the step to actually go and acknowledge that, you would have liked to have done things differently and to apologize. That's a step that I don't think we don't take that often enough. And this is really an invitation to think about this and to see, how can that impact the quality of our relationship with another person. So these are just a couple of examples, on the topic of compassion. But of course, each one of these dimensions, opens up a path to many, many more resources, many, many more challenges and exercises. And, it's just a matter of identifying which is the one where the breakthrough might be for you. Yeah, I'll just take a pause here before we show some of the other features on the platform. And I'll invite Peter to add anything else that you would like to do.
It's good to remind ourselves, take compassion, for example, that we look at a few examples that Mark showed. It is reciprocal, all right? Yeah, our ego normally holds us back, but when we let go of our ego and we take a compassionate attitude or a compassionate way, a perspective, we become, and we take that person's perspective, often with time or even immediately, it bounces back to you. It causes the other person to look at you through a perspective of compassion as well. So that's how we collectively, synergistically bounce the energy into a space where we become, through practice, through conscious adoption of this practice, a more compassionate group or team. And in the end, from an employee experience point of view, you feel you discover that you feel a lot more fulfilled, you feel a lot more satisfied with the way either a meeting goes or your relationship, a difficult relationship with another. It's really an upward spiral of caring for each other in the end, through compassion, state of the dimension of compassion. And a lot of these are the same principle. They bounce back. You help someone will understand that helping you also matters. So I think it's good to remember that.
Absolutely. The upward spiral, I think, is a very important aspect of this, Peter.
Yeah.
Is that when we give off, positive energy, we also it will come back to us, it will be reciprocated. And the kind of momentum that can create is incredible. We often hear the expression that small actions can have big ripple effect. And I think it's actions that are rooted in these types of dimensions, in these types of, deep human qualities that actually have the biggest ripple impact, the potential for the greatest ripple effect. So, we all have the power to influence and to change and to have impact with our colleagues and, with the organizations in which we work. So just briefly, there's also the opportunity to take the assessment. So you don't have to, but you can actually take the Human Potential Assessment, which is 83 questions. And once you've taken the assessment, so here you'll be invited in I'm not going to go through that right now, but once you've taken the assessment, you will end up with a version of the house that is color coded based on how well you are expressing these different dimensions. So for example, if you're very highly expressing a certain dimension, it will be color coded in purple. And if you're underexpressed in a certain dimension, it'll be color coded in yellow. And it just gives you a kind of a visual sense of where your opportunities for growth are, where the opportunities are for further development and reflection. So we invite you, to take the assessment, to work with that. And then of course your report will be available here, so you can download. It's a 20-page report with all kinds of additional insights. So it's not just your results on the house, but you get all kinds of other additional insights, which are very, very valuable. So that is available. And then as you see here, there's also a diary option where, when you've finished working on a dimension, you can input. So here, for example, if we were working on compassion, you can enter your learnings here. And you can just keep track of what are you experimenting with and what are you learning, and go back to it later, and maybe you want to adjust it and fine-tune your learnings. So this is just a way for you to track your development throughout this process. So we invite you to take advantage of this platform. It's part of the it's part of the benefit of joining this course. So it's included in the overall price. You can access this platform, being at fullpotential.io, whenever you like. You can use it as much as you want. I think that covers the main aspects. Am I forgetting anything, Peter?
Yeah, just the assessment itself, if you step back before you do the assessment, and you just it's not a thinking process, it's an intuitive process. For that moment, how you feel, what are your sense of thing, and once you are in that calm state, we believe that it would take maybe 20-25 minutes, sometimes even shorter, if you rely on your instincts. So it's not a arduous assessment. It can be very, very fun and intuitive if you bring yourself to that state. It's not a test, it's just a discovery at that moment, how you're feeling, how you are, what your perspective are on your human potential. And you'll find that it's going to be quite revealing. So I just thought I'll add that. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. So I think that brings us to a close on this module 4. Just to recap, we've looked at a number of different resources that are very helpful in anchoring the being in our day-to-day work experience, right? So whether it be remembering the vertical axis in addition to the horizontal learning axis, whether it be reflecting on our consciousness through the lens of the five stages of maturity, and then of course this platform, which has the very down-to-earth practical inspiration, resources, exercises, challenges, diary, assessment. So everything basically that really brings it down into the day-to-day practical dimension. And so we have one more module coming up, and that's basically our closing, and taking a moment just to look at the big picture and the overall journey that we've been on, and also inviting you into some possible next steps, ways in which we can continue to interact and to work together. So we look forward to welcome you in this last module 5.